big hello and a very warm welcome to Brand Equity with me, Sonali Krishna. This is a Diwali special, as you can see from our attires, and I'm interviewing a very special person this Diwali. It's all about beauty, lifestyle and glamour, and no one better than Falguni Nayar, the founder and the CEO of Nykaa, who's joining us during Diwali to talk about everything beauty, everything fashion, everything lifestyle. Thank you so much, Falguni. First up, wishing you a very happy Diwali, but more importantly, what a blockbuster gig you've just put up with Nykaa Land, India's first, I think, beauty festival. And thank you so much for giving that to India.
Yeah, no, thank you very much, Ali. First and foremost, happy Diwali to you too. It's a pleasure to be here today. And yeah, just talking about Nykaa Land gives me goosebumps. It was something that we conceptualized over last 3-4 years, and I mean, it was going to be going live in April 2020, if I remember, and then COVID hit, so we decided to postpone it. And I think last couple of years with COVID coming in its various form, we never got comfortable. So happy to see it come alive. And I think beauty remains a very, education experience, immersive experience for the customer is so important, and that's the reason why we wanted to do this. And I think the way it was adapted by the consumers, like 15,000 tickets sold for the first ever beauty fest, and the amount of enthusiasm with which customers came, stayed the whole day, attended all the master classes, long queues for every master class, for every, we had more than 80 brands participating with their their booths, and long queues outside every booth. So it was really something to experience.
Sure, and this whole experience, I think, clearly tells us that we're at this beauty and fashion is at an inflection point in India, with more and more people very interested in beauty and understanding beauty and taking that forward. I wouldn't say that was the trend, let's say 5 or 10 years ago. For instance,
yeah, absolutely. Beauty was a very small market then. Even now, it's a pretty small market. $20 billion with per capita consumption of BPC, beauty and personal care, is as low as it used to be $12 per capita. It's now at $15. In fact, when we entered the market, it was not even $8. So we have worked in the last 10 years to create and build this market and brought it to about $15 per capita. But at this per capita income level also, most global countries have better beauty consumption.
Sure.
Like, it could easily be $40 to $50 per capita, but we are still struggling at $15. So in our opinion, a lot of work has to be done on education, on accessibility, taking beauty all through the country and making it accessible to our people. And it's all over the world, beauty consumption is big, and why should it not be in India?
Sure. Just want to flash back to Nykaa Land because it's just about happened. It's very fresh in our memories. And want you to flash back to when you were actually conceptualizing Nykaa Land. What was the trigger? What was your thought process in terms of bringing this, super glam beauty festival to India? And what do you think the results it will reap now that you've, had it executed? And I'm sure that this will be an annual kind of, a thing that
absolutely it's been annual count, because when crowds come together, it becomes economical for everyone. All our 80 brand partners were so happy to provide all of the immersive experiential services at the festival.
Sure.
And it was worth it for them because there were so many customers. So anecdotally, I've had lots of friends tell me that, why don't you do more beauty master classes? We want to learn how to do winged eyeliner. They would all love to do it if they learn how to do winged eyeliner. So I think what this beauty Nykaa Land did was brought that beauty immersive experience at scale to 15,000 customers who came over 2 days.
Sure.
And I think this will be repeated in many other cities also over time.
Okay.
And we do have plans to take it to some of the other cities. And as awareness builds up, and I think in a much smaller format, we've been doing this in other cities also. We call it beauty bars. I think Nykaa has been doing beauty bars for the last 2-3 years, and they're a very big hit, but they're done on a scale of maybe 5 brands go together and maybe 100-200 customers come into that.
Sure.
And even there, we've been seeing in recent times that 1,000 people sign up and we are only able to accommodate 200. So that's why doing an event like this at scale, which allows thousands of consumers to experience beauty up close, has a very big impact on building the size of this industry.
But is there a direct impetus you see, by doing this, a direct impetus on basically the kind of traction that you see? I know it's a very
it's direct
micro kind of outlook, but I'm just asking, or is this an investment for the long term?
No. There is a direct correlation, but I just want you to take a step back to understand how Nykaa website was built, right? So even today, we have more than 1 billion visits on our website, which means each of our unique customers visits us for almost 40 times a year. But they're not shopping 40 times a year. They are buying maybe 4-5 times a year on an average. There are customers who are buying every month, but on an average about 4 to 5 times a year, which means that our customers are coming on the website, discovering new products, new brands, learning about them, reading reviews, reading about the products, as well as all our content which is on our website, which is educating them on how to use the product. They're consuming all of that, and finally they're feeling confident of buying. This is what we believed in from day one, that consumers must have a lot of education, a lot of understanding, knowledge of the assortment to drive the consumption. And it is direct, but it is in this manner, which I think Nykaa is very comfortable to not have a direct correlation to consumer coming and seeing a makeup video and tutorial, and they don't have to buy at that time, but they are more knowledgeable about it and they are more aspirational about it, and they will come back and buy it.
So from the time, let's say, you started Nykaa to till date, right, have you seen this beauty market grow significantly? Are you seeing Indians becoming more obsessed and interested in skincare, beauty, makeup, and how they present themselves to the world?
Of course, it has grown. So like the per capita numbers I told you about, but even anecdotally, if you look at it, I think before Nykaa entered, there were hardly any physical retail stores, and the sales in those stores used to be very small. Today, Nykaa is not only largest online retailer, but we have almost 165 offline stores in 65 cities of the country, and we are going to 100 cities. But even with 165 stores, and we have said that we have more than 1.4 lakh square feet of retail space, and we have more than 3,000 rupees per square feet of productivity. But even with that, our physical retail is less than 10% of our business, right? So it's a massive, massive market that we've created and built, and it goes into all of the 19,000 zip codes in the country. I think it's difficult to fathom what Nykaa has made possible in the country, where all of the brands are now able to reach through length and breadth of the country. I see that very anecdotally when I travel. I think Nykaa brand, I feel so proud about it because the brand is known to everyone. I went trekking out of Manali, almost 1.5 to 2 hours out of Manali, and there were these young girls. They all were very enthusiastic, and they were kind of wearing lipstick, and I got courage to ask them that, do you know Nykaa? And they all said, yes, we know Nykaa. So there are lots of consumers waiting to embrace the brand. So I think in many ways, both beauty and Nykaa has traveled far and wide within the country, for sure.
Given that you are one of the few tech-enabled kind of consumer brands, which is even today, 90% of your customers would shop online. Despite that, you see a very concerted effort by Nykaa to kind of open physical stores, and as you correctly said, you're already at 165. I see a lot more brands also doing that, like putting up physical stores. But given the fact that everybody predicts that e-commerce is going to take off, and that would be the preferred way to shop in the future, why is it that there's so much investment going into physical stores?
I think learning from some of the markets which have adopted e-commerce in a big way, the belief is that e-commerce penetration of both beauty and fashion market will be somewhere around 25 to 30% over this decade itself of the total market. And beauty, everybody has been predicting that the online beauty and fashion markets will grow at about 25 to 35% CAGR. Whereas the overall markets are growing at 8 to 10% CAGR. So there's a lot of transition happening from unorganized first to organized, and then from organized to online. So that whole transition is real. We've seen it happening over the years. But yes, you cannot ignore that even today, 65-70% of the market is offline and unorganized. And post-COVID, this market has been quite vibrant, and that's why a lot of brands are at the moment chasing growth in those markets also. I think Nykaa's own brands also sell in GTMT, as we call it, like Naked, which is one of our lingerie brands, is now available in 1,100 GTMT stores. Similarly, our Nykaa Cosmetics, which is our biggest beauty brand, makeup brand, is also sold very widely throughout, maybe in 100,000 retail doors. So this is the kind of market that everyone's trying to cater to, that cater to an online customer, but also go offline. And over time, there is transition from offline to online, and you already have those customers who will come online. The main problem in this whole theory is that offline is very expensive.
Yes.
And you do end up spending a lot of money in building a network and paying those salaries and paying, you need a distribution network and paying those salaries. And when your average sales per store is not that great, or if it goes through cyclicality during periods during which it is not at its peak, like, there is seasonal, right now there is seasonality, but when it's off season, at that point to be able to afford that investment. So I think brands will have to take a long-term view on their profitability and have the appropriate channel mix. I'm not saying it should only be, e-commerce should be the only channel, never. But they'll have to have the appropriate channel mix, which is e-commerce, physical retail, as well as GTMT distribution. In beauty and in fashion, it's mainly e-commerce and physical retail.
A little bit about the beauty category per se, and you're the best person to answer it. We've suddenly seen a mushrooming of several Indian startups that catering to makeup and skincare in particular, and it really seems to be thriving. My question is, so now because of platforms like Nykaa, we have access to so many brands, whether it's Indian or international. How would you say in the long term you would define the success of these several Indian startups that are catering to beauty and skincare, given the fact that we now have access to international brands, and this is a long game, and also the consumer, I think, is not so educated in understanding what is a good quality brand versus which is not, especially for people who from middle India who just about starting to kind of travel the course of beauty and makeup.
Yeah, no, it's an exciting field. I think at Nykaa we have more than 3,000 brands, 3,500 brands that we have on our platform. And there is a very good mix of both what we call as international brands. There are more than hundreds of international brands that we brought into the country, and there are more that are going to come. It's a very exciting industry where there's a lot going on, not just in India, even in the world. There are these large conglomerates like L'Oreal, Estée Lauder, and Pooch or Unilever, who bring out brands, and they own more than 30-40 brands each, and they bring it into the country. So there's a lot that they have to offer, and then a number of Indian brands are also coming up with their offerings. So it's a very dynamic market, and it's coming from the fact that it's a large market, and hence everybody wants to play in this market. And that is giving consumers a lot of choices. And I think there's on a platform like Nykaa, there's a lot of knowledge and education. And if you look at our we call them product detail pages, where a lot of information is shared. There are very interesting customer reviews there from where you can learn, and consumers can go on a self-learning journey and choose the right products for them. I think on an average, I think what matters, so firstly, I think India is not an open market, in the sense that every player in an Indian market in beauty space has to have a Food and Drug Administration's registration. So you can't just sell without registration. So in many ways, Indian consumer is protected, and like how there is a control on pharmaceuticals and food and drugs, similarly, there is control on what is sold in India. Only thing is to be mindful is not to buy counterfeit products, which are sometimes sold on certain platforms. But Nykaa has always been trusted. There's a lot of authenticity. Products on Nykaa are directly sourced from the brands, and hence you're broadly safe. Now within that, there could be more products which are efficacious, and they've done a lot of studies to prove that efficacy. Again, a lot of brands share that information and knowledge. So I think consumers can make the right choices between premiumness of a product with the right efficacy versus are they chasing the cheapest products. And like anywhere, there are all kinds of consumers. There are premium consumers who want the best quality and the best products on offer, and then there are other consumers who want to take a product which maybe which is more affordable for them.
Sure. A couple of trends that is being observed in the industry, and I want to ask you if that maps for the beauty industry as well. One is the fact that, across categories, you see premium products doing a lot better than mass products today for, just looking at how the economy is currently faring. Are you also noticing that in beauty, where your middle market or your mass brands are not performing as well as, let's say, your premium or your luxury brands?
Not really. I mean, while we are a big believer in premiumization trend, and premium brands have been doing well, and there's been overall premiumization. Like in a simple terms, nobody today believes that very cheap, less than 100 rupee shampoo can be that effective. So people are ready to buy more premium products and pay up that premium. So that's one trend. But at the same time, world over, it's being called democratization of beauty, which means that also consumers are not buying $500, $300 creams anymore. And the same efficacy is now being made available at $40 and $50 in the Western markets. And that trend is also coming into India. So it's not a very simple answer. I think consumer is in a very good place because very efficacious products are coming in at more affordable prices. Say case in example in point is The Ordinary, which makes skincare available with direct efficacious products, I mean ingredients in their products which do the, which serve the consumer need at a very cost effective manner. So, and this is happening from larger companies too. So I think there is a little bit of everything. There is a democratization, but also within that there's premiumization. But what I agree with you is that today it's the low income consumer who's a little bit squeezed, and that's where there's a little bit marginal tightness in consumption, whereas the consumption in the top tier, like if you take tier 1 cities, metro cities, if you take like iOS and more premium handset customers, those customers definitely are continuing to buy like in the past.
But even if you look at the Nykaa website user profile or the app user profile, you'd see about 35% of that coming in from urban India, which would be tier 1 metros, and then about 65% from tier 2. Is that robustness of demand still coming in from tier 2, or has it been a weakening?
It is. So if I may just say, like last 3-4 years, the tier 1 city growth was, say, if it was 30-40%, tier 2 and 3 were growing at 100% year-on-year growth because they were coming off the small base and growing very rapidly. That growth is now tempered to similar level as the urban growth, but obviously on a small base because a lot of our population is in tier 2 and 3 cities. So the opportunity there is large. So I think the growth in those markets has slowed down and compared to tier 1 cities. So the belief is for the short term there is some amount of consumption pressure at the more mass level, but at the premium level that we don't see that.
Also, again, this is not a question for elite India, but given the fact that there is definitely a food inflation and other factors in play, the discretionary spend of an average Indian customer is currently being squeezed, especially if I'm talking about the scenario in 2024 and 25 maybe. So if discretionary spends are kind of coming down, are you seeing an impact in the vertical of beauty and cosmetics?
I'd like to say no, because I'll tell you what for me, I always look at a little bit longer term picture. And if you look at the longer term picture, the data I'd like to share with you, which is data based on World Economic Forum and a Bain study, which seems to suggest that upper income households will constitute from just about 20% of Indian households in 2018. They almost constitute about 30% of Indian households by 2022. And this number is going to go to 40% of all our households by 2030. With this kind of upper income households growing, where the per capita incomes are somewhere between $5,000 to $7,500, the discretionary consumption will definitely be on the rise. So instead of getting affected by what we've seen for last 1 or 2 quarters, I choose to be optimistic and a big believer that this consumption will grow and we will see. I think it will be a decade. I do believe that it's going to be a decade for discretionary consumption in the country, and all retail formats, be it online and offline, should see a very robust growth thanks to discretionary consumption growing over the next 8-10 years. I think more particularly, the fact that we believe in it is why we hosted a big event like Nykaa Land. We continue to launch great new brands. I think we just launched Urban Decay yesterday. It's again a premium brand from L'Oreal Luxury that we just launched on our platforms, and so many more brands are coming. Rare Beauty is now in the country, and there's a whole bunch of international brands who want to make India their home based on the fact that Indian consumption is likely to grow. And you know, just to add to that, I want to say that, you know, Indians want to, when they want to spend, they spend. There's no stoppage on spending for weddings. You know, wedding spending continues in a big way. Also, you know, this the festive season, I've been traveling a bit, and I see whether it is, you know, is Navratri in Gujarat or it is Durga Puja in Calcutta.
Sure.
There is no stopping consumers during the festival time. And what I was really surprised to see that in a place like Baroda, there are more than 20 Garba where more than 40,000 people congregate each night. And each of these 40,000 people are buying new outfits every day. So when Indians want to spend, I don't think there is any issue. So I personally feel that Indians are very selective about what they want to spend on. And I think this year they've clearly spent on experiences as well as, you know, festivals and weddings for sure.
Falguni, just to understand your vision, right? You started as a beauty retailer, online retailer. Today you have your own private label in terms of your own beauty and cosmetic brands. You have a fashion brand, and you have you know, your lingerie brand in Naked. Plus you are housing a lot of international and Indian brands, whether we talk about fashion or beauty. So where is the large vision? You've started salons, so you've definitely entered, made a step into the services space, beauty services space. So what is the large vision you're envisaging?
So, you know, we started as a multi-brand retailer for beauty, specialty beauty retailer, but more focused online. And today that's our biggest business.
Yeah.
We are very, very large there, almost catering to more than 20 million plus customers who buy with us online, who have ever bought with us online. And this is our most premium business. There we wanted to be omni-channel. So now 10% of our beauty business comes through stores.
Yeah.
We have 165 plus stores in more than 65 cities, and we're going to 100 cities. We also started fashion about 4 or 5 years ago because we believed that fashion was a bigger market than beauty, and to a certain extent consumer was common. And today really happy that it accounts for almost 20% of our business now. And we've grown very rapidly over 4 years. And in fashion also, we do have some plans to do physical retail, but it's not yet fully conceptualized. So it's mainly online is what we have.
At the moment?
At the moment, yeah. We have 2-3 stores, so I just want to mention that, but I think we don't have big plans for omni-channel in fashion. We also wanted to be a consumer brand company. And within Nykaa, we house close to 29 brands now, almost equally divided between beauty and fashion. In beauty, we have some of our biggest brands are Nykaa Cosmetics, K Beauty, which is our brand with Katrina Kaif. We also acquired Dot & Key, which has grown very rapidly. So hidden within Nykaa is almost close to 800 crores of net revenue coming from brand businesses itself. And in fashion, our biggest brand is of course Naked, which is a lingerie brand, which in a matter of 3 years has touched, is likely to touch net revenue of about 100 crores. Plus, you know, actually more than 100 crores. So a lot of brands are getting built out. And yeah, this is the main area of focus. Little bit we've gone into services. We have a partnership with Avida, which has 3 salons of our own, and we of course has planned to grow that more. And similarly, we are also entering now GCC market. We saw that as a very exciting market. We think that the consumer is young, just like in India. Consumption is on the rise. Of course, I joke about it that in India we have a lot of customers but no wallet, and in GCC we have the wallet but not enough customers.
Sure.
So I think that's the balance. But we have a joint venture with Apparel Group, and the first stores will be launched pretty soon in the last, you know, hopefully before December end.
In Dubai?
So in Dubai first.
Yeah.
But the plan is to be in the entire 7 GCC countries, including KSA, Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. So that's the plan.
Sure, that's really exciting. If I had to ask you over the next 5 years, as a woman who's at the helm of this now quite a large and spread out portfolio, what are the challenges you envisage?
The challenge is, now being a listed company, the biggest challenge is to balance between near-term profitability and long-term growth. So I think as a listed company, there's a lot of accountability on keeping a focus on how you're delivering on long-term profitability expectation from the market, and yet investing for the future. Because in a country like India, like Nykaa is trying to acquire as much as 8 million new customers in a year.
Yeah.
I mean, that is sometimes the population of an entire Scandinavian country. I wake up to that reality and I get very excited about what India has to offer. So I think, even though Nykaa's quite large in beauty, we think these are such early days with low per capita consumption, and we must invest for the future because population of India is so much larger. So I think it's a balance between doing the right thing from a longer term perspective, investing in the market, growing the category, bringing interesting brand, because brands take time to kind of grow and germinate and take off. So you need to sow seeds today to benefit in future. So I think that near term and longer term balance is the main challenge.
But do you miss being an unlisted company where you had much more freedom and flexibility?
No, I think I think a lot of people who are listed understand this pain of being listed, but at the same time really appreciate it. It keeps you very accountable, it keeps you very disciplined, you question every decision. So it's like you're on a treadmill, you have to deliver every day and yet you have to run the long marathon.
In terms of profitability, clearly Nykaa has been in a very, very intense investment phase. And this phase, I'm assuming, will continue for a bit. So when you are already profitable, but when do you see your profitability really jumping up, that momentum of profit really going up?
I think in e-commerce companies, profitability is a balance between new customers that you acquire versus the repeat and already existing customers who are doing business on your platform.
Yeah.
And that is how profitability of the beauty business became very robust, because we have a lot of existing customers doing business on the platform, and we are adding in relation to that certain new customers on the platform. When you enter a new business like fashion, which was at a very nascent stage, the balance is more in favor of new customer versus a repeat customer.
Is it?
But typically, because you're just starting out, so you have to get more new customers on the platform.
Okay.
And the cost of acquiring a new customer is usually 5 to 6 times that of getting back the repeat customer. So that kind of initial investment is needed. Even beauty had done that, but it had happened at a time when beauty was not listed.
Yeah.
So I think this quarter, we have said that, our marketing costs are finally coming down based on like almost now 56% of our customers are repeat customers. So based on that, as that balance shifts, you see the improvement in profitability. So I think we have kind of kept constant our investments. Like pre-IPO, we had started both fashion as well as B2B business. So those two are the main businesses that we are trying to put on the right path to profitability, or unit economics as we call it. And a lot of, we are very confident that both will be, they are already on that path and they will be in a better place over next couple of quarters or next couple of years. So that's what we are doing, and we are being very mindful of new businesses we induct in. So clearly, international GCC is a new expansion.
Sure.
And many of the brands also, some of them are new, but a lot of that investment is also already front-ended.
But you've not mentioned something about, the challenges or something that you'll have to be very alert about is the competition, which seems to be hotting up as well in this space, right?
So competition was, I think in many ways, if you look at lifestyle competition, there are 3-4 platforms that are active in fashion. We entered fashion.
Sure.
Similarly, many of those have entered beauty.
Sure.
So it's pretty much, those are the only platforms. Trying to build a totally new platform is very difficult. So on the platform side, yes, it looks like some of the big conglomerates are entering the space, beauty, but they were already in retail. It is a logical extension for them.
Sure.
The way, similarly, if you look at Myntra, I think it's a logical extension for Myntra to go from fashion to beauty, the way we went from beauty to fashion. So I think in many ways it's not, it is more than what we've seen in the past, but it's a logical competition coming in, and retail is always a big market, and sometimes competition helps you, grow the market faster.
Falguni, you've always maintained that you don't believe in this heavy discounting model, right? But with all this competition coming in, especially Reliance, I would say, because they believe in a discounting model for whatever categories they've entered, they really seduce the customer with a lot of discounts. Don't you think we're going to be entering an era of discounting? I mean, good for consumers like me, but I'm saying it's going to be tougher and tougher because with new players coming in, trying to entice new customers, your customer acquisition, and especially players with deep pockets who,
No, I think it was a similar question that I was being asked when I first entered the business in 2012, when in 2013 Amazon entered, and everyone says Amazon does a lot of discounting, and we survived that. I think the reality is that both in beauty and fashion, brands don't like discounting because they feel that that takes away from the brand. These are not commodity businesses.
Okay.
And a lot of luxury brands, in fact, do not like any discounting at all. In fact, they like to sell full price products, but they motivate the customer by giving them GWPs and other things on offer. So I don't think these are category, I mean, especially beauty is not a category that you can do discounting from your own pocket. In certain mass brands, yes, you can do some personal care maybe, but I've not seen any of that. It's not for the first time. I mean, many of the kind of grocery kind of stores entered beauty some time ago, you know, whether it was Big Basket or whether it was now called Blinkit, but whatever they were called earlier. And none of them could make a mark in terms of doing any significant business in beauty. So I do believe that the way to sell beauty is through art of retailing, a lot of education, a lot of aspiration, a lot of you know, making consumer understand and want to aspire to use that product, and that remains the secret to selling beauty.
You know, I'm so glad you brought that up. Now, your education, awareness, and even understanding to the average Indian customer in just the breadth of your products, whether it be your own labels or it be what you're housing, right? I've not seen Nykaa's big mega campaigns on traditional media. So you're broadly still, I think, educating the consumer on digital, which is, right?
We've done some advertising, not massive.
Yeah.
I think the whole world is shifting towards digital. I mean, look, I mean, we are a digital native company.
Yeah, sure.
When we started, we were spending 90% on performance and not even 10% on brand marketing.
Yeah.
That has now shifted to, we almost spend 20% on brand marketing and only 80% on performance marketing. And all of that 20% doesn't have to be only on TV.
Sure.
We do spend a lot, but we spend on like YouTube and other upper funnel advertising that we do. Because nowadays Insta Reels and many upper funnel advertising possibilities are there. So it's not that we don't spend, but we choose to spend differently. But if you look at many of our campaigns, like say we had a couple of campaigns, like we've had a whole bunch of campaigns which have had as much as like a very, very large reach. I don't know, our own Instagram, we have so many Instagram handles Nykaa has, and we reach 250 million consumers through our own Insta handles every week. So we don't think that we are not known to the consumer, just that the method we are choosing is a little different, you know.
Sure.
Also, our consumer is young, you know, our consumer is Gen Z, millennial, who are all on the internet. I think there was some data on that which I'd like to share with you, that almost 90% of purchases online are from younger, like under 35. So all our customers are young, they are digitally native, they are consuming social media, and social media has been our big channel. In addition, we also have, you know, we do live commerce, we do influencer marketing, we also have our own Nykaa Stream, which is our own content feed. It's a little bit like, you can say, it's like TikTok, you know, where a lot of content is being shown to our customers on our platform itself. So we believe that there's no lack of reach, you know, and we do monitor our awareness, and our awareness is at par with
my
Flipkart,
question
Amazon,
is more about like, how many customers know about number of fashion brands you own?
So the point is, yes, so we do communicate a lot. So for example, we talk about what is our positioning. So our positioning in fashion are three positioning. One is our international, we call it our global store, where we brought Revolve, Cider, and many other brands. Then we talk about hidden gems, where we brought a lot of, you know, brands throughout the country are now on our platform. Then we talk about our responsible collection, and similarly on the beauty side, we talk about our conscious collection, which is like all of the, you know, environmentally friendly brands. Then we have our global store, which has, you know, the Charlotte Tilbury, the Huda, and we do advertise a lot on the digital medium.
Yeah, sure.
And our own advertisements we do. I mean, we just had a campaign called Kya Khoob Lagti Ho. I don't know whether you noticed it, but yeah, we don't have big advertising budgets.
But it's not required given your TG, you're saying?
Our TG and also our reach. You know, we are reaching about 200 million impressions on a regular basis.
So then would you say there's an opportunity for, let's say, an older TG, which is 35 plus, which is yet to be inducted into beauty, or you think that that's also waking up? Another segment,
waking up, definitely.
You know, also this anti-aging regimen, which is currently very much trending in the, you know, over the last 5 years. You're also seeing a lot of celebrities now going in for beauty services to anti-age, which is all pretty new for us as Indians. Are you seeing that as a big category, because they're the ones who have the money?
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I totally agree with you that Yes, if you look at our stores, we have definitely older customers who come into our stores compared to online.
Sure.
And there was a time when older customers always said that I'm not very good with buying online and on the app, but that's changing. They are also adapting e-commerce quite nicely. So both is happening. Older customers are adapting e-commerce. We are also going in the physical world. And yes, definitely, even at a Nykaa Land, we discovered that so many of my friends told me that they discovered brands like Pixie and Elf were available on Nykaa, which they had not discovered on the website. There's a banner on the website every day from these brands, but it was not discovered. So, I mean, we will reach customers through all. We talk about 360-degree marketing. And to be honest, we do 360-degree marketing for every campaign that we do.
Sure.
And that includes, obviously, TV we do sometimes, couple of times a year. But otherwise, we do a lot of campaigns that include like all the way from upper funnel digital to influencer to live commerce to to like, I mean, even we'll do more of outdoors. So there's a lot that we do, like including, like I told you about, even physical events like beauty bars that we do in more and more cities.
Sure.
So I think we are someone who adapts all of the 360-degree marketing. For our big sale, like Pink Friday sale is coming up in November, and there will definitely be TV. We do TV at opportune times. So.
Sure. Last couple of questions before I let you go.
As our profitability increases, we'll definitely do more TV advertising.
Yeah, of course,
for sure.
of course. And also your TG is so digitally savvy, and you have your own, established streams. So, I mean, I was just asking in terms of just understanding the customer knows that there is Naked by Nykaa, which is such a popular brand, but are they? You're the mother brand. Is that awareness there?
Yeah. So each of these brands, almost 5 to 6 million customers have bought Nykaa Cosmetics so far.
Yeah.
And similarly, Naked also more than 1 million customers have bought Naked. And similarly, same number for like 1.5 million for K Beauty. So numbers are not small at all.
Yeah.
But yes, they can definitely be bigger. We can grow each of our brands more, and we can spend everywhere more.
Yeah, for sure. As we go along this journey, some of the growth shoots you see just for the industry and for you, and some of the Western, more advanced, mature markets for beauty and skincare. Are we following the same pattern as a nascent country who's just about started adopting skincare and beauty in our everyday regimen? Are we following the same chart, or are we leapfrogging and doing things differently as opposed to, let's say, markets that are more sophisticated when it comes to these categories?
So Indian per capita consumption of beauty is very low. Yeah. It is below where it should be on an S curve. So according to like similar markets as India on per capita terms have at least 2.5 times the per capita consumption of beauty than India. So I think the Indian consumption will definitely grow because it's from a very small base. But within that, Nykaa's consumers spend much more. So Nykaa's per capita consumption is almost at $80 per capita when the Indian average is $15.
How are you beating the industry standard?
Through education. It's through education only. I think a lot of customers are discovering products through Nykaa, and then they are adapting those in their everyday routines. So like awareness that it's not okay to just wash your face at night and go to sleep. It's important to have a makeup remover of a certain quality, and that will help your skin over a period of time. We did a big campaign on what we call a CSMS. We wanted to build a skincare routine, which is also very limited in the country. So of course Korea has a 13-step skincare routine. We thought Indians won't adapt that. So we came up with our eye beauty regime for the day, and it is only 4 steps, but it says use a good cleanser, then use a serum, use a moisturizer, and finally you must use a sunscreen.
Tell me something, Falguni, 15 years ago, did you do this?
I didn't do this 15 years ago. I was analyzing balance sheets and P&Ls. But I think I just want to say that this particular campaign, we made sure it got 125 million impressions, and it led to growth of, superlative growth of those categories on our website. So compared to average growth in skincare category, serum was growing at 35% compounded annual, and sunscreen grew at 65% annualized rate of growth. So we are always educating customers in a certain, in certain directions. I mean, it needs a lot of concerted effort. There are times when we run big foundation drives where we ask customers to come into our store and we will help them match the foundation with their skin tone. So we run, like every store will have a foundation table, because foundation is little, sometimes customer wants to personally come in. So with a network of stores that we have, we ask our customers to come in and all of the foundations are there from various brands and we help them find their right skin tone.
So you are saying we are following the same trajectory as Western countries?
No. I think the per capita consumption in US is maybe $250 per capita, and in some markets like Korea and Japan is even higher. We will have our own journey, but it will be positive. It will be more than what we've had in the past, for sure.
Sure. Last thoughts before I let you go, as we...
Sorry, so just to answer your one question, so Nykaa's top 25% of Nykaa customers spend $250 per capita.
Oh,
which
really?
Means, which means that top 25% of our customers, we call them California users. They spend like California consumers. So yes, I think, you know how India is always a tale of two markets. There are consumption pockets which spend a lot.
So, you know, last thoughts before I let you go in terms of how you see the outlook of the industry and outlook for Nykaa as we enter 2024. The world around, everybody thinks that 2024 is going to be a tough year because of the macroeconomic factors and the fact that, you know, while India is the bright spot, all advanced markets are slowing down. We're also slowing, but relatively less compared to the rest of the world. So are you looking at 2024, 2025 possibly as challenging years, or?
I'm optimistically positive about the market. I feel that I always look at the micro factors that could drive. I think Indian infrastructure is really improved over the years.
Falguni, look at Bombay.
It'll hopefully improve next year. But you go to smaller towns, the infrastructure is really improved. Secondly, I think there's a lot of manufacturing coming into the country. We've always complained that we've been a service economy. We haven't had enough manufacturing. I think government is taking steps increasingly for India to become a, I don't know, hopefully it'll attract more tourism than we have in the past.
Sure.
You know, I think there can be everything negative, but one or two things click, it makes a big difference. Like our software exports carried the country for so many years. And maybe some more industries will hopefully grow. I mean, India today is a base where so many startups are catering to the world. So I think it's particularly difficult year this year because every company has been tightening the belt. And it always has a little bit of an impact. But I think optimistically, I think the belief is that with a lot of AI and other productivity measures coming into the industry, we should have a better year in the next. I mean, one is about industries doing better, but the other is about consumers doing better. So hopefully the benefit of growth flow into the consumers, and hopefully that happens in a better way. But I think it's a very complex subject, including, you know, monetary policy and how does agriculture do, and so I think it's very difficult to take more of a, you know, everything has to play into more near-term growth, but as a long-term trajectory, I'm sure India will do well because of its educated population, everything that we've talked about, like demographic dividend, young population, more education, and what it does in terms of being supplied to the world.
You've also said that this is the decade for India in terms of beauty.
In terms of discretionary consumption, including beauty and fashion, I think it's going to be a decade for Indian retailers and Indian beauty and consumption, like discretionary consumption categories like beauty and fashion. So I remain very optimistic about how it'll pan out going forward.
Just one last question, and this is, you know, earlier there was a tendency for Indians to go abroad and purchase beauty and skincare products simply because it was cheaper, right? Has that kind of changed? You know, with players like yourselves and others who've come, you know, is it that we're at par or maybe even better priced?
We are very well priced, in fact, because we convince a lot of brands to come and register in the country, starting with Huda or Charlotte Tilbury or MAC or many other brands. And when they register in the country and import products at cost and then pay duty and then sell it in that manner, the prices in India are at par with the world, in fact better than some of the smaller economies like be it Singapore, Dubai or Hong Kong. Larger economies benefit with better pricing like US or China, and I think India is very much now in that category. That due to its size of its market, brands are ready to price it at a good attractive levels.
Well, on that note, thank you so much, Falguni. Wishing you a very happy Diwali once again, but also thank you for making India look a lot better than it did, let's say, a decade ago. Thank you so much.
Thank you. No, on that pun, yes, I'm also happy that we are in a better place today. Thank you so much, Sonali, and happy Diwali to you.
Thank you so much.